Okay, so thank you very much for coming along to this session. The whole idea of this session is called the Distro Panel, which might seem slightly cryptic, but the idea is to get some of the people behind some of the real popular distributions out there. And when we say distributions, we're talking about packages that include Asterisk, and they maybe include GUIs and all sorts of other goodness as well. To get those folk here to kind of give you their view of the world by way of an introduction, and also to take questions. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to introduce these folks, and then it will be really over to a Q&A. And if Jared and Rusty, if you could just stand up so people can see who you are. So Jared is roving mic 1, and Rusty is roving mic 2. They're going to be running around with the mics in a moment. And I'll just introduce the people from left to right. So we'll start off with Eduardo Abad. This is Eduardo from the Elastix project. And hold your applause. You can do a big one right at the end for all 4 of these guys. Then we've got Jason, who's representing AsteriskNOW, Jason Parker. We've got Tony Lewis from FreePBX. And on the end there, we've got Ward Monday from PBX in a Flash. Please welcome all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'd like to do to start with, guys, is just give you a couple of minutes just to introduce yourselves and talk about your particular project. And then we'll be handing over the general Q&A. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
And just to shake things up, we'll go right to left this time. So, Ward, you're up first.
Damn. I was going to steal all of Tony's good lines. I'm Ward Monday. I am the housekeeper of PBX in a Flash. We're the distro that's a little different. All of the distributions package a lamp stack and some variation of FreePBX and Asterisk. I think we're the only ones that still compile Asterisk and FreePBX from source, which works great Monday through Friday. Depending on the internet over the weekend, sometimes it's a little tedious on the weekends. We also provide a very healthy collection of virtual machine images for just about any platform you'd want to use. The advantage of the VMs now, they may have been a little shaky 5 or 6 years ago. Today, there are many businesses that run their Asterisk systems completely off virtual machines. And in the corporate world, a lot of these organizations have a very deep collection of virtual machines on premises, or they use something like Amazon S2 or EC2 for a virtualization platform, and we support Amazon as well. So we're not all things to all people, but we're a script-based, very dedicated CentOS platform specific project. We do have a Debian-based Raspberry Pi implementation for those that enjoy water torture. Thank you.
I'm Tony. I'm with FreePBX. We probably have a little different twist because not only do we maintain and build out FreePBX that everyone here uses, we also maintain the FreePBX distribution, which includes Asterisk and Linux, your typical lamp stack. Some things may be a little different unless we compile most of our non-standard included CentOS RPMs, so all of the Asterisk, all the DOTI are all compiled by us. We maintain some patches for things from the community in the past. We focus a lot, like Ward, on security we have in the past. It's been a big chunk of our focus has been security. And just trying to give a simple system that the enterprise customers can use.
I'm Jason Parker. I maintain the AsteriskNOW distribution. AsteriskNOW is one of the lighter distros. There's not all the bells and whistles that all the other ones have. It was something that Digium customers had wanted for quite some time. At the end of another distribution that existed at the time that no longer really exists, Digium wanted to do something that they could support themselves, that when customers called in that they would know, this is the, sort of reference of how things should be done. There were also some of the Digium products that were added into it, the phones and the hardware setup for,
I'm Eduardo. I'm involved in the Elastix distribution. Elastix is LAMP-based. It started in 2006 as a CDR report web interface, but has evolved over the years. And now it's a unified communications solution for easy managing not only telephony, that's the core based of Asterisk, of course, but also email, web conferencing, fax, and other solutions. We constantly bring more solutions to the table, either developed by ourselves or from third party through our add-ons marketplace. We have like that free call center model developed by us. That's an example of the add-ons. So Elastix, it's based headquarters in Ecuador, but we have come a long way, and in fact, many may not know, but most downloads come from the US at the moment. So that's
All right, I guess we'll open it up for questions.
No. Hello. Hi, Matt Florell. I wrote and maintained ViciDial. And no, I'm not going to beat you all up for using CentOS, but we do maintain our own ISO based on OpenSUSE ViciBox, which is an Asterisk installer. And I know there was a mention of Debian. Have any of you looked at any other distro platforms other than CentOS?
Yep.
And what can you comment on why you're still using CentOS?
We've looked at a lot of them in the past, Debian, Ubuntu, different things. To be honest, the biggest reason we stick with CentOS is it's a direct derivative of Enterprise Linux. And Enterprise Linux is run by Red Hat, which is a $1 billion a year company. I want to put my faith in somebody who's proven over 10 years and is going to stick behind a product that I don't have to change all the time. And that's why we've stuck with CentOS so far. I mean, that's our opinion.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. We have Elastix ARM-based. It's Fedora, but it's CentOS.
It's just the newer, shinier bits that eventually make their way into Enterprise Linux and then CentOS. I'm obviously biased, but. Other questions?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a light one. So, pulling out the crystal ball a little bit, where do you guys see and maybe this is a question really for Tony and Ward to some extent, what do you see as challenges for FreePBX users over the next 5 years as the landscape of communications begins to change with technologies like WebRTC?
Go, Ward.
Go, dude.
I think the race to zero is awesome. I mean, the WebRTC is a great product, but it's a race to zero with WebRTC. I think the big changes is going to be your phone system becoming more than your phone system. I'm not talking an email server, a chat server. It's just, people are having demands for quality things like video mixing. Some of the things like what Uber Conference is doing with their conference server, we see a lot of demands on. A lot of it just comes down to is resources in trying to keep up with, the Ciscos of the world who've got 1,000, 2,000 engineers on their product.
Yeah, I think our perspective, I do the Nerdvittles blog, and we try to stay out on the bleeding edge and try all sorts of new stuff as it comes out. And we've had a WebRTC appliance for 6 or 8 months now that uses Asterisk 11, which gave people a platform that they can install in 5 minutes on their desktop and see if it works for them, or see if it's going to work in their business. You know, our latest one, the little Go IP device that you may have seen, little square box with an antenna, and you plug in a GSM SIM card, and it basically gives you a GSM port on your Asterisk server. And to me, the missing piece, as we talked about yesterday, is integration with cell phones. I mean, every person I know has a cell phone now. And if you went to my daughter's school when 3:15 and the bell rings, every one of those kids comes out the door with an iPhone in their hand talking to somebody. And the quicker we can integrate that technology into Asterisk, I think the better off we are, because people aren't going to have regular telephones anymore. You know, 90% of the people don't have landlines now in the community in which I live. So to me, if Asterisk is going to be viable for somebody other than big companies, we've got to have a quick and easy way to integrate in the cell phone and SMS messaging technology. So that's kind of our focus at the moment. Next week it'll probably be something else, but you know, that's the nature of the beast, which is the fun part.
A couple of questions at the back.
No circle.
Yeah, there are a lot of ringers in the audience today. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Coming out here at Astricon, Asterisk 12 introduces a number of new things, including a new SIP stack, a new application and management API called ARI, REST API. What are the impacts that you guys see from those? Are those things that are going to get incorporated in quickly, or is it going to take a while before they soak in? And how do you sort of see those impacting the next several generations of your products?
Let me go first, because
You have it.
I know what you want to talk about. You know, just to stay on the bleeding edge, we had taken Asterisk 12 with PJSIP and FreePBX 2.11, which won't run out of the box with Asterisk 12. But I basically turned the GUI off and used all of the dial plan code, which worked like a champ with the addition of probably a dozen lines of dial plan. And just for the fun of it, I put that in a virtual machine on my Mac and tied it to a tethered Verizon wireless phone and opened up a Google Voice number and ran it during my 5-hour trip from Charleston to Atlanta, where people could dial in and use IVRs, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, news, weather by speaking the name of the city and state you wanted a weather report for, conferencing. All of that stuff worked out of the box. And to me, I think, you know, we've been doing this a long time. That's the first time those types of applications have worked in full release stage of a new Asterisk version, much less in an alpha release like what I was using coming over in the car. So we're really excited about this. I think I wanted to go first because Tony and Philippe are the ones we're waiting on now to build FreePBX 2.12 that will actually support Asterisk 12.
Yeah, we just decided we're going to stay in 11 forever.
Great.
No, the PJSIP, there's two things that are incredible about, let's just talk about PJSIP. The first one is the fact that everything in SIP is broken out in its own module. So when we decide we want some little tweak, just a little feature, we don't have to patch CHAN SIP for it. We just build the module we want and tie it in with the PJSIP stack. So it allows features to get introduced easier without having to patch the core SIP and spend the next 3 months on pins and needles. What did I break that is going to be found? But the most interesting feature I love about PJ-SIP is the multi-registration, the ability to take devices, multiple devices registered to, let's call it the same user or extension as people in FreePBX are used to.
Endpoint. Tony, the word is endpoint.
Endpoint.
Thank you.
I'm trying to talk with the way FreePBX users understand it. But the fact that I can have 3 different endpoints or devices all registered to the exact same extension in the mode you guys are used to, and they won't fight with registrations. It allows some really neat things. As far as the rest stuff, the ability to control things in applications is just incredible. Just from a simple REST API, there's going to be a lot of neat things that can be done with that. So really excited about 12. Not excited about the work that has to be done.
You'll probably be done in the next couple of weeks.
We've got our PMs done or close to it finally, so we can start playing with it.
No, I'm at the FreePBX part. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, nothing.
The rest of the panel?
Yes, we're always excited when new versions, features come. So we always build features on top of what Asterisk gives us. So we're certainly looking forward to it. We moved from 1.6, it took us a while, to 1.8. From 1.8, it has been quicker to 11 right now. So we're happy with how things are going, looking forward to it.
I think with the REST API that's in Asterisk 12, FreePBX is in really the perfect place to be writing the applications, some of the applications for that, because the person is already going to be having this web GUI there connected to their system, and I mean, you just write the applications there, and it's in the same place that you're doing everything else that you're doing already.
Yeah.
So my question was, you all have made deploying PBXs easier, and they're used in lots of different places. But if you were to target one particular type of market, would there be one, or do you plan to stay pretty vanilla?
Well, I think we all have a different focus. PBX and a Flash has definitely appealed to the hobbyist. We've got a lot of businesses and some major corporate customers that use it, but by and large, we've kind of tried to be the bleeding edge distro, only because people can get in and tinker with the components without having to learn how to rewrite source RPMs. So I don't make any bones about it, we are a no-profit corporation, which means we don't make a damn dime. We depend on donations from our users, and we get a little residual income from Vitality and a couple of other corporate sponsors. But aside from that, our income basically goes into web services and things to support the project, not to make anybody a living. So Tony's kind of at the other end of that spectrum, and I'll let him speak to that. But they're both great business models. It's just I think there's room for both.
I mean, we're oriented around, a big chunk has been resellers. It's where we've really focused over the last few years and build our channel and our resellers, and a lot of corporate America, people that require 24/7 support contracts, and they have that single throat to call, whether, part of our product portfolio is our SIP station trunking plus FreePBX and everything we can offer one phone call to make, whether it's your phone service, whether it's FreePBX, whether it's core Asterisk problems, debugging Asterisk problems, figuring out what's going on. They've got one person to call, and that really appeals to corporate America. So a big chunk of our focus has been corporate America and resellers.
In the case of AsteriskNOW, I'll probably get stuff thrown at me if I'm wrong here or stepping on toes or anything. AsteriskNOW doesn't really get marketed in the same way. with Asterisk Now specifically, we're not going out chasing customers. It's generally recommended to people who already know about Asterisk, who maybe they've looked at Digium products, or and it's more a tool to get something done rather than you should buy this and here's all the features it has. It's I already know the features of Asterisk, or I know the features of FreePBX. How can I do that within this set of guidelines? Is that?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the introduction, our main focus is more integrating different services, different communications platforms, not only telephony but others. So that's what I think we have come to distinct ourselves in. Telephony, of course, is the core component, but our market is wide in that sense, and we don't. Of course, we don't sell our distro is open source as others. It's only support that we can make business in.
NSA shenanigans. How has that affected your user base, and have you seen specific features that people are asking for?
The what?
NSA shenanigans.
Oh,
Well, we're definitely going to implement SRTP as quick as we can get it out the door. It affects everybody. I'm one of those bleeding heart liberals, I guess, when it comes to people invading my privacy, or I just don't see any reason that the government needs to collect every phone call, and I don't mean just the phone number. I mean all of the voice, and then digitized voice that is stored for years in case they may ever want to snoop on it or find out who the girlfriend's dating. I just, we're gonna do something to make it as difficult as possible for them. I mentioned yesterday in the developers meeting that, my only reluctance in implementing SRTP is that we have an awful lot of people from Pakistan that register on our forums, and I'm not sure I want to hand SRTP to the bad guys, but that's a choice that the NSA and the government have made, and we're going to do our part to make it as difficult as possible.
So, based on that too, in the past we spent a lot of time looking at different encryption stuff, SRTP, TLS, and we always came back to the same conclusion. To us it's useless because once you hit the PSTN, and that's where they're trapping the information, they have it. As a phone carrier, we know it when we get subpoenas from three-letter organizations, what we have to provide to them, and throwing SRTP from our perspective is, okay, so the call to the PBX is now secure. Even if we did, like at SipStation, and did an SRTP from the PBX back to our core switches, once we hit the SS7 gateway, it's all fair game. They can tap it, and that's where they're tapping it at.
Yep.
So it just, to us, didn't make sense to move forward and spend a lot of time on it. The biggest problem with the SRTP was all the different implementations from all the different device manufacturers, and how you get the certs, and some store them, some have to pull them real time, and it just became a fiasco trying to work with all the different devices.
Well, we're primarily interested in getting SRTP between Asterisk servers. In corporate America, they've got a server in each city around the globe, perhaps, and 80% of their communications is internal. So if we can encrypt the data that goes between corporate devices, we've solved what I think is a major part of the problem. Tony's absolutely right on the PSTN stuff.
Don't most of those corporations run over
VPNs, yeah.
Well, some do, yeah. Yeah, and if anybody doesn't think they've cracked VPNs, you're smoking something. Cause
What's
there
the
you go.
SRTP's been cracked.
So on this same note, this is maybe a question for the audience on that sort of same vein. How many people in the audience encrypt their communications for their business? Either media or signaling? So
Yeah, exactly.
got 2 hands. Interesting data point based on your guys' talk.
Our big recommendation is that's, especially site-to-site stuff, everyone's running VPNs. I mean,
Or ought to be.
wow, corporate America does.
Right.
There isn't much in corporate America that's not on a VPN.
Yep.
Other questions? If not, I'll throw one out myself here. All right. Most interesting deployment or most interesting feature request? And let's start down at the Elastic side and work our way this way.
Feature request. Maybe I can think right now, but some incredible huge number of concurrent calls and users on a CPU that's not realistic, like or call center for that matter too. A call center that can handle all that in a CPU that wouldn't make sense right now at this moment. If I think something, I say it again.
Okay, we'll pass on to Jason.
Well, that's pretty much it. You get these users with, thousands of extensions trying to get it all on one box, and it just doesn't work. And we tell them it's not going to work. You need to split it.
Probably the once-a-month user that comes in, I'm the next Vonage, I put up FreePBX, can you please build everything for me? I'll buy an hour of support. I have 1,000 Google Voice accounts I need you to activate in the same box, and I have an hour of support that I need you to do all this in. But as far as real fun stuff we've done, I think one of the funnest things, it's a long time ago, would have been the crazy land air HR database system for managing benefits in one of the largest trucking logistics companies in the country. In the whole HA department, they wanted to fire everybody, basically automate everything HR did through IVR systems. And there was hundreds of databases and AGIs everywhere.
Hey, Tony, is this one of these things, to get a job, press 1, to quit your job, press 2,
Everything.
one of those systems?
To check
Awesome.
your benefits, do this, to change your withholdings on the state, do this. Okay, what state would you like them changed in if you're in multiple states? And it just went on and on forever.
Yeah, I think our
And
most-
there's a lot of features in FreePBX that evolved because of this stuff. Like, when you use FreePBX, like the return to IVR option, and where maybe you go to an IVR and you want to go back the previous IVR, so that's return to previous IVR. All that was put in place because of this, I don't know, was it 800 IVR deep system that was designed? It was nuts. Yes, but it was nuts.
Sounds like the one Comcast still uses. I think our favorite's probably the Lenny implementation. That didn't originate in Asterisk, and when they kind of closed down the support of that, there were a lot of upset folks, including a lot of us that used it. So I got permission to use his Lenny recordings, and to its credit, Asterisk 11 does an incredibly good job at pretending to act like a human. And some of the calls you get from these desperate salespeople, particularly people peddling newspapers these days, are just incredible. Yeah. So if you haven't tried the Lenny implementation, go to Nerd Vittles. It's free. All you got to do is download it into your PBX and run it on your own platform.
Hey, Jared, the other thing I guess I would think is everyone who constantly wants to talk about facts, and I wish it would just die forever.
It's never going to die.
And the problem is, the technology-wise, a lot of it was really simple to solve until you found out all the patents on everything related to faxing that exist. I'm sorry. It just ruins my day.
All right, I know we're just about out of time. Any last words, any last thoughts before we wrap up? Let's start with Jason, since he's sitting in the middle.
Really?
What do you think?
No, I think the question is, can I ask a question?
Sure,
us
absolutely.
up here? Where do we go from here?
Oh, you want me to answer that question?
No. As distros, what do we all need to do next? I mean, is it going to be just getting Asterisk 12 going? Is it?
I mean, our plans we talked about in our talk yesterday, Fleep did, the things we're trying to work on. The, you know, a big focus is Asterisk 12 and some decent ACL or class of services put in, and the whole new user control panel using a lot of the new REST framework in FreePBX that was built and the REST framework in Asterisk and the HA stuff.
Yeah, I think if I had one wish, it would be, and Asterisk 12 is certainly going to help with this, modularizing the way Asterisk works so that different interest groups can build their own components into Asterisk without breaking the way the basic system works. And doing the same thing with FreePBX in a documented way so that we can really broaden the development community. Right now, you know, I can count on hands and feet, fingers and toes, the number of really active developers in all of these projects. And, you know, it'd be nice to see that broadened to hundreds and thousands of people.
Eduardo?
Yeah, we'll continue, we'll adopt Asterisk 12 or the following versions, but we don't see anything wrong with it. Telephony, as we think it's gonna last for a whole lot of years, so either cell phones or other means, but voice-to-voice remote communication will be there. So Asterisk, keeping up with Asterisk is the best we can do. But also we have the other front ends, like I mentioned, and we have many projects like appliances or remote monitoring, other stuff too. We're always looking for new projects. But Asterisk, of course, will be the core always.
Great. If you want to see where the world is going and you have a teenage son or daughter, look at the way that they use the telephone today, and that will tell you what we've got to do to stay relevant to that generation. I mean, my daughter, who's in 7th grade, probably makes one phone call a week. She probably sends 1,000 text messages a week. We've got to figure a way to integrate those things into a simple way where they work with Asterisk just like they do with your cell phone.
All right, we're out of time, but I want to give, if everybody will give a great round of applause for this great panel we've had. Great discussion.
Yeah, yeah.